G'day cocktail lovers. As we approach the end of a year, I decided to have a look back. All the cocktails I've made, which ones were my favourites? And I've made over 150 cocktails on this channel this year. I didn't count exactly how many. A lot, put it that way. And these ones that are new to me, or they're variations on cocktails that were new to me. I did keep little notes in the cocktails when I uploaded them if I thought it was a particularly good one, like a 9 out of 10. And this is a little bit of trivia. I was surprised how many of my favourites were cocktails I'd made as shorts. Like when I choose between making a longer video and a short, because I like to mix it up, because who the hell knows, maybe that works with the YouTube algorithm. But when it's a short, I just see a recipe and go, I could make that really quickly. That'd be a nice, neat, short video. We'll do that. And I don't have really high expectations of it. And quite a lot of the shorts were among my top 10 for the year. So I just thought some of them needed to be shared with you in a bit more detail. Now, over the last week or two, I spent time looking back at the cocktails I'd rated the highest, remaking them. I had a top 10 and I really got tough and I brought it down to a top 3 cocktails of the year. That's what I'm going to share with you now. Although in the details for this video, I will put the recipes for all of the top 10. And I really recommend you try them. Not all in one night, you know, pace yourself over a period of time to try them, but they were all exceptionally good. Cocktails I'd rate at least 8.5 or 9 out of 10. I could just keep having them. This is the first of my top 3. This is called the Obituario. This is essentially an agave martini. In fact, the Obituary is a martini with a bit of absinthe in it. Now this is using agave spirits and also has the absinthe, so with the Spanish name, the Obituario. And honestly, I made this more or less as a novelty. I thought, well, that's kind of funny. It's like a mezcal and tequila martini. And I was surprised how much I liked it. It's just as different as the agave spirits are from gin. It still has that beautiful, clean, crisp taste that I like in a really good martini. This is a great drink. I'll show you how to make it. In a mixing glass, put 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of blanco tequila, then half an ounce or 15 mils of mezcal. Then I'm doing 1 ounce or 30 mils of dry vermouth and putting in about a bar spoon of absinthe. And to make the flavors pop, I'm adding 2 drops of saline. Add ice to the glass, stir that for 20 to 25 seconds to chill and dilute the drink. I'm straining that into a chilled Nickanora glass and using a twist of lemon peel as the garnish. Like I said, even though I'm using the agave spirits, this really has the spirit and the vibe of a martini. So you could make it your way. You could make it dirty. You could use an olive as the garnish. It's really worth experimenting with. I recommend you try this one, the Obituario. The second cocktail in my top 3 is a sour. It was one of 2 sours that were in the top 10. It's called an Elixir Tropicale. I have to admit, when left to my own devices, most of the cocktails I make are the boozy stirred down variety, but every now and then I make a sour and it's a really good sour and I go, oh yeah, I should make sours every now and then. And this one, it's just, it probably helps that it's not that far removed from a daiquiri, which is an all-time classic rum sour. Oh, this is really good. I'll just quickly show you the ingredients. This is a white rum cocktail. I'm using a locally made product from the Killick Distillery. They're silver. This is an actual really funky white rum. Some white rums have barely any more flavor than vodka. This is a very flavorful white rum and it works really well in this. The sweetener in this one is orgeat, and this is my homemade macadamia and cashew orgeat. I made it from a concentrate I got from a health food shop. There's lots of videos that show you how to make this. It's essentially this and water and sugar, and it's really good. Big divergence from a daiquiri is this has a little bit of maraschino liqueur in it as well, and it makes it its own thing, which is how it got into my top 3 for the year. I'll show you how to make it. In a shaker we put 2 ounces or 60 mils of white rum, then half an ounce or 15 mils of lime juice, then 20 mils, 2/3 of an ounce of orgeat, then around 1/4 of an ounce or 7.5 mils of maraschino liqueur. Then I'm doing 3 dashes of tiki bitters, and then I'm throwing in 3 mint leaves. Add ice to the shaker, shake that good and hard for 10 or 15 seconds to chill and dilute the drink. Then we're going to fine strain that into a chilled Nick and Nora glass because we don't want any bits of the mint leaves getting in there. Or if you do like to have a little bit of mint leaf in your drink, don't fine strain it. I fine strained it and this has come out really well, which is why it's one of my top 3 cocktails of the year. Which brings me to my cocktail of the year. It was actually quite difficult to narrow down to a final 3, but it was not difficult to pick my number 1. As soon as I remade this one, I thought, oh yeah, I remember this. This is a chocolate sazerac. And when I first made this earlier in the year, I liked it so much. I was kind of obsessed for probably a couple of weeks. I kept making it. It was really good. And now I'm making it again, and I need to refresh myself with how good this tastes. I really like that. And I love the classic sazerac. So doing this little riff was very interesting, how different it made it while still having that spirit. Interestingly, I had kind of an argument with someone on this on Facebook, and they were, you can't do that to a classic. And I went, well, you know, live your life like that, you'll just never have anything new. All the cocktails are built off other cocktails, particularly the modern classics are all inspired by ours. So, you know, if you don't experiment and tweak classics, you're never going to have anything new in your life, and your life will be sad. Well, not necessarily sad. If I just had traditional sazeracs my whole life, I'd probably be pretty happy. But I really like how this one came out, and I'll quickly show you the ingredients. Some people make their sazerac with whiskey, some make it with cognac or brandy. I like to do a split of both. This is apparently the most popular way to make it where I live, here in Melbourne, and some people around other parts of the world think that's a bit weird. But I like it that way, so I've gone with a local rye whiskey, a limited edition from the Gospel Distillery. This was aged in ex-Vermouth casks. Gives it a really nice character. And this technically not cognac from Martell, but it is their VSOP cognac, which is finished in bourbon barrels. So with the strict rules around cognac, you can't market this as cognac, but they're trusting their name. They call this Blue Swift. So it's a 50-50 split of these. As the name gives away, chocolate sazerac, it's got creme de cacao. I'm using white creme de cacao. You could use brown creme de cacao if you wanted to. I think the drink looks nicer when you use white creme de cacao. And I'm also going with a bit of absinthe. I have seen recipes that call for up to ½ an ounce of absinthe, which is a lot. And I decided to go traditionally with a sazerac, there'll be an absinthe rinse. And that's what I'm doing in this case. That all comes together to make the chocolate sazerac, and I've got to taste it again. And usually you would serve the sazerac without ice in a rocks glass, but sexy clear ice time, I had to do it. Anyway, here's how I made it. For the absinthe rinse, I poured about 1/4 of an ounce of absinthe over the ice in the glass, and then I put that aside. For the drink, in a mixing glass, I put 1 ounce or 30 ml of rye whiskey, then 1 ounce or 30 ml of brandy. Then I did ½ an ounce, 15 ml of white creme de cacao, and 1/4 of an ounce, around 7.5 ml of sugar syrup. And I rounded out with Peychaud's bitters, 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. To serve the drink, I first strained the excess absinthe out of the glass into a shot glass. And you can have that as a chaser, and then strain the drink into the rocks glass over that big chunk of sexy clear ice, and simple garnish, just a twist of orange peel. And so a fairly simple twist on a classic becomes my favourite cocktail of the year. Favourite one that was new to me this year, and as I said earlier, all the recipes for my top 10 are going to be in the description. Thoroughly recommend you try them out because I really enjoyed retrying all of them, and I'd be intrigued if you managed to work your way through it, which ones you think are the best. But whatever you're doing, I do hope you're taking care, and I do hope to see you again next year. What will be the top cocktails next year? Who knows? It could be anything. It's a whole new year, a whole big, broad, empty canvas waiting ahead of us. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next year, and I hope you're along for the ride, and I hope you're taking care over the new year and all through next year. And until I see you again, I'll say cheers.